Hello and welcome to Just Jets episode number 208. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary. I am excited to be hanging out with you for another episode, another edition of Just Jets right after the Super Bowl. Another season comes and goes, and it is now everyone's favorite time of year for the New York Jets. Off-season time. Ooh, baby, off-season time. Okay. So we have a few things to get into today. We are going to do Brandon Aiyuk being unhappy with the 49ers. Interesting. We will do the New York Jets getting new uniforms and your voicemails. But before we do all of that, just wanted to remind you that we are doing our first ever Talkin' Jets draft party in person at the main event in Farmingdale, New York on Long Island. It should be a ton of fun. We will be broadcasting live from the main event on Long Island. So if you are unable to attend, you could still watch. We broadcast all 3 days, but make sure to get your tickets now. We are having a Talkin' Jets buffet, all kinds of different appetizers, open bar throughout the entirety of the first round. We got raffles, prizes, giveaways, whole lot of fun. Make sure to get in on the fun and join us for the first ever Talkin' Jets in-person draft party. I'm really pumped about it, if you guys couldn't tell. All right, so let's hop into it, guys. Brandon Aiyuk unhappy with the 49ers. It seems like it's that kind of season. It's cryptic tweet season. It's cryptic quotes season. And it all started on social media as there were some cryptic messages from Brandon Aiyuk's brother. And then he was asked about it today and essentially gave a nonchalant answer about his future with the with the San Francisco 49ers, as they pretty much, again, they asked him, like, do you want to be here next year? And he's like, if the plan's right.
Is your hope to remain with the 49ers moving forward?
If that's the right move, yeah.
What would that right move look like for you?
Being a champion.
What do you mean if the plan is right? So now naturally becomes the question, should the New York Jets trade for Brandon Aiyuk? He has one more year left on his rookie contract. His last 2 years in the NFL have been absolutely excellent. He was picked, as I mentioned, in the first round of the 2020 draft class. He had 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns this year. Last year in 2022, it was 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's put up at least 700 receiving yards in each of his first 4 years. First year, 748, 826, 1,015, and 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns. That would be interesting, right? He is just entering his prime, so he's going to have to get paid. He's 25 years old. He'll turn 26 in March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. There you go. Love that. Love that for Brandon Aiyuk as an Irish lad myself. All right. So what would I be willing to give up for Brandon Aiyuk, and what kind of contract would he get? I think he'd be getting probably $25 million a year, roughly, AAV, right? Obviously, the cap hits are very, very different than that. But it's going to take a first-round pick. Would not give up pick number 10 because the Jets are going to need that pick to fill out the rest of this offensive line, more than likely, all right? Like, there's a scenario where you try to fix it in free agency and maybe trade and so on and so forth, but that is all easier said than done. More than likely, right, as we stand now, the Jets will, again, most likely pick offensive tackle at pick 10, or if they move down and maybe they get creative that way, but I don't think they would give up their 2024 first round pick, nor do I think they should do that. I think it would be wise to use it to fix that offensive line. It stinks because if things break differently, if they hit on Mekhi Becton in 2020 and they draft an offensive lineman in the first round last year, who knows? Maybe it's a different conversation. You're going, yeah, absolutely. You could afford to trade a first round pick. They don't need to, spend it on an offensive line. This time, no, it's a top 10 pick. They have a desperate need on the offensive line. I don't see that changing by the draft. Maybe it does, but I don't see that being the case. And they don't have a second round pick. So if for some reason or in some way you could trade first round pick in 2025 and get a contract extension done, maybe that's a different conversation. Maybe, right? And then you try to structure it so that, he's getting paid for the first 3 years while Garrett is still on his rookie deal. And then eventually Aiyuk you move off of and Garrett gets paid the big bucks in like 3 years or 4 years. That might be an interesting way about, for going about it. If you're the New York Jets in this spot, don't know if San Francisco will go for it, but based on the answers from Brandon Aiyuk earlier yesterday, it doesn't sound like a guy who's going to be there. He was very frustrated. And I know something that's going to rub people the wrong way. Oh, diva wide receiver, no thank you. It's not everyone's Garrett Wilson. I would love every single wide receiver. Hell, I'd love every single player in the league to carry themselves like Garrett Wilson does. He always says the right things. Great teammate, true like captain leader. Brandon Aiyuk is very evidently frustrated, and I don't think a contract is going to work out there, and he very well could be on the trade market. And every single year, there's someone who you don't expect to get traded ends up getting dealt. A.J. Brown a couple years ago, Tyreek Hill 2 years ago. Maybe Brandon Ayuk's the guy this year. Again, I would not give up a 2024 first round pick for him. I would not give up pick 10 for him. But if for some reason, something is on the table for a 2025 first, you're hoping that 2025 first is 32nd overall anyway. Right? That would be the hope if you're really actually going for it. And, if it didn't work out with Aaron Rodgers in 2024, then I don't know what the plan is. Right? I don't know what the plan is. I think this one would be really hard to navigate. It's a fun one to talk about. It's a fun one to discuss. But I just think it would be a little bit of a challenge here to get that one right, to get that trade right. That's the kind of player that I would love to pair with Garrett Wilson. He's an electric wide receiver. I just don't know if they're going to be able to pull that one off. Again, I would love it, but I just don't think they're going to be able to pull it off. We'll see. That's going to be a fun one to keep an eye on, but he does not look very happy there. Now, the second thing that we can get into on this program is the new uniforms. That's why I'm rocking my legacy. Number 8, Aaron bleeping Rodgers, baby. Let's go. Aaron Rodgers wearing the jersey, wearing the legacy jersey, because it was announced 15 seconds after the Super Bowl ended that the New York Jets will be getting new uniforms this year. They are moving off of the worst uniforms in their history. I will not remember this past uniforms fondly, not because of how they look, but because of how they played in it. I don't think you could there's really not too many examples of worse runs in a uniform other than like the Creamsicle Bucks, the Browns from 2018, from 2013 to 2018, whenever that was, right? And then this in 2019 for the Jets, hired Adam Gase. Sam Darnold gets mono. You have the See and Ghost game. The next year, 2-14. Frank Gore up the A gap 200 times in a lost season. 2021, worst defense in the NFL. Zach Wilson's rookie year, 4-13 season. 2022, you lose your final 6 games to miss out on the playoffs. You have the Zach Wilson versus Mike White debates. 2023, you get the Aaron Rodgers injury, more inept quarterback play, the Fail Mary, the what else? What possibly else can you pile on this list? The historically bad offense. I will not miss that uniform look. I am very excited to see it. I can't stand the people who are like, I don't care. They can wear a pink tutu as long as they're winning games. I don't care what they wear. You're so insufferable. That person is just so insufferable. Like, there's no one I would enjoy less in life than that person, I think. It's okay to talk about other things that, like, obviously, yes, we all want the Jets to win, and winning is most important. And maybe I'd feel differently about the current uniforms if they were winning a bucket load of games while wearing them. But they're going to make an upgrade to their look. And that's okay. It's okay to say, I'm excited about going from a bottom 5 uniform in the sport to one of the better ones in the sport. You're allowed to enjoy things. You're allowed to have fun with it. And I like the white and the green look that they had for the legacies that they rocked this year. I'm excited to see the green version. I'm excited to see the all black version. I think they're going to do a good job with it. I can't wait for it to be revealed, and it's definitely going to roll out a little bit better than the look of having Robbie Anderson, Quincy Enunwa, Leonard Williams, Jamal Adams, Sam Darnold be the crop to roll out those new uniforms. I mean, I think it'll be a little bit different when you have Aaron Rodgers, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Jermaine Johnson, Quincy Williams, CJ Mosley rocking the jerseys, and maybe a couple of different additions in free agency. Who knows? Maybe big ticket free agents brought in here. That guy's in the modeling process. Chris Herndon, I forgot. Oh my God, Chris Herndon was used to model those jerseys. Sad times that it was for those New York Jets, but I'm excited about it. I think it was a weird look to do it literally 5 seconds after the Super Bowl is over. You're tweeting it out. Woody Johnson's tweeting him out. It's a bit like, can you focus? Can we, the timing? I'm excited about it, but the timing was weird. It's like, oh, season's over, off-season time. We got to ramp it up. We got to win the off-season. Always win the off-season, but moral of the story is I'm excited for them. I think they will be a fantastic look. Let's get into those voicemails now. We have a few to get into. Last week, we started with Peter from the beautiful Hudson Valley's part 1 phone call. We will go back to him for part 2 of free agency.
Hey, Matt. It's Peter from up in the beautiful Hudson Valley, calling in this week to talk about NFL free agents. Part 2 of the 3 calls I'll probably be giving you in regards to rebuilding the Jets overall. Last week, of course, was about the Jets' own free agents. But again, the criteria I'm using is 75% or greater chance someone might return is probable, questionable 50-50, and doubtful 25% or less chance. And you can give me your numbers for any of these players as well. Not really going to talk about offensive line because they've kind of already covered that. So open on the favorites I think the Jets should bring in. But there's obviously a lot of names at the wide receiver position. Devontae Adams, 25% chance. Same thing, I think, with T. Higgins because he'll probably be tagged. I think the 2 that probably give the Jets the greater chance, though, are both Calvin Ridley and, of course, Cortland Sutton. If he either shakes loose by a trade, or if the Jets can trade for him, or if he shakes loose because the Broncos are going to be over the cap, I was saying give both of those guys maybe 75% or greater chance that they could come in. So give me your thoughts on those guys as well. But considering the Jets will not be bringing back Carl Lawson, and it seems like we might have to do a tag and trade with Bryce Huff. And as always, you and I, and so many people agree that Bryce Huff needs to return to the Jets. Do you think there's anyone else at edge that the Jets could bring in on the cheap to kind of help replace him, even if it's someone whose production is not going to be quite as good as Huff potentially is going to be for the next several years? So if you got any names or thoughts on that, I greatly appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I don't know. The edge one is tough. That's a position that I really just have not thought about at all because they're going to have, as of guys right now, right? Like we'll assume Bryce Huff isn't here. Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin Myers, they consider an edge. Those will be your 2 starters. Will McDonald, Michael Clemens, probably. That's 4 right there. Then you have, Quinnen. Then I'm hoping you bring back Quentin Jefferson. And maybe there's 2 other names on the interior that you add. Solomon Thomas. And maybe a draft pick on the interior as that last spot. and then you're carrying 8 defensive linemen instead of normally they've been like 9 or 10 deep. I think I would be surprised, to be honest with you, that they're going to add, or if they would add in free agency, an edge rusher. That's an interesting one. It would seem so back, and I know this is not what you're saying, Peter, but it would seem so backwards for them to like trade away or let their best edge rusher walk and then sign a cheap edge rusher. Like, that's just so backwards. It really is. And for the guys you listed off, I would definitely say doubtful for T. Higgins, doubtful for Pittman, doubtful for Mike Evans, doubtful for probably for Devontae Adams even at this point. And the other two that you listed, Cortland Sutton, and I do agree with you that Cortland Sutton and Calvin Ridley are the two most realistic options. I might also throw, not that he's necessarily in the same tier as those guys, but like a Curtis Samuel could make sense for them. To put in the slot, I could see them going that route. He would be a little bit cheaper. Again, I'm not saying that's my favorite route. It's not, but we talk about guys who, as of right now, guys who look like they're going to actually hit the market. T. Higgins, probably no. He's probably getting franchise tagged. Devontae Adams, probably no. Michael Pittman, probably no. Mike Evans, probably no. It's tough. It's not that simple. It's really not that simple. So Calvin Ridley, there's a chance that he could end up being the best option for them, or you have to go outside the box and trade for Cortland Sutton, who I like. I happen to like Cortland Sutton a lot. I think he would complement Garrett Wilson's skill set. And then I would look to add another receiver in the draft, somewhere in the mid rounds. That would be my play. Let's go to Henry in Maryland. He's got a content idea. All right, let's hear him out.
Matt O'Leary. Good morning, sir. Sorry to be waking you up at 8:30. Henry from Maryland. Got an idea for you. How about grabbing 6 of your social media, New York Jet advocates, content creators, having a mock draft, each of you selecting each selection, and then having a debate at the end as to who had the best draft for the Jets, and then putting it out there for all of us guys that have nothing better to do to figure out who won the draft.
I like this.
That's it. Have a wonderful day, Mr. O'Leary. Bye.
I like this recommendation from our guy Henry. That's not a bad idea. I'm thinking we could do. See, the challenging thing with, and again, Henry, a very good idea. It would be fun to do some compare and contrast on some favorite mock draft options. Is because you're not necessarily going to get the same, like the teams in front of you, right? Like if you're picking with the Jets at 10, you might not have the same guys available every time. Like in one mock, who knows? Maybe, we'll use the pick 10 for example. Maybe in my mock, Olufoshanu falls to me and I take him. But in Green Bean's mock, he's not there. So he trades back and takes a tight end and then trades back again and takes another tight end. And you're going like, well, you see Green Bean moved back and got some good value and took his 66 tight ends in the draft, but Matt had Olufoshanu fall. So I think we might run into some issue on we have to try to keep some things uniform. Like we'd have to keep all the same sims. Like it'd have to be the PFF sim. It would have to be, or PFN or whatever their favorite, or whatever our favorite one is, and go from there. But that's an interesting idea. I will take it. Constantine is up next. I think he has it seems like he has a bone to pick with me. So I'm willing to hear Constantine out on his bone to pick with me, and I'll respond, I suppose.
Constantine from PA. Listen, man, why are we still talking about Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold? Who cares? We wasted 2 of our best picks on those busts. 1 second overall, 1 third overall, first round, both. Why are we talking about them? Yeah, I look forward to listening to your podcast each and every week. I got up early today.
Thank you.
To listen because I know I left a voicemail, and you only had 3 voicemails on there. So why are we talking about Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson? Who cares? The Jets are in disarray. The head coach is a joke. The general manager can't get nothing done. Everybody second guesses everybody else. The owner can care less as long as he's making money, which is the rest of the NFL, by the way. And by the way, did anybody watch the touch football game on Sunday, the flag football game? Is that what football's becoming, flag football? Because it feels that way.
This has to be a parody, right?
I mean, I would appreciate it if you put some more interesting stuff on. Otherwise, I'll just stop watching. And
No,
if you don't want to
don't
put this
go.
on, that's fine.
No.
If you're just going to cancel culture us because we have a difference of opinion, that's fine too.
What?
But the last thing I want to do is hear about Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. I could care less about them. What I want to hear is how the Jets are going to change things and stop doing the same thing over and over and over again, putting us Jet fans through torment. Because I've been in a really good mood these last few weeks because I haven't had to watch this debacle of a football team play on Sundays. And if you want to make me the villain, that's all fine and good. I really don't give a crap. But the bottom line is everything is falling apart. The city's falling apart. Our teams are falling apart. Nothing is under control. So we need to wake up because this whole entire world is for a rude awakening right now. And us Jet fans have had it. We don't want to hear about Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson. They were failures, period. They won us nothing. They're going to go to other teams and be backups, and then they'll be in the Canadian Football League or the Arena Football League or the UFL. That's where they're going to end up. And that's all I have to say about this.
Okay.
Not happy.
That's it? That's it? Jeez, man. Okay. Constantine, I am under no obligation to play every single voicemail that I get. It's a show. It's not the Constantine show. It's the Just Jets show. I'm trying to talk about storylines that are happening in the NFL. Why was I talking about Sam Darnold last week? Because his team was in the Super Bowl, and he had a quote earlier in the week that said, I thought I was going to make the Super Bowl with the New York Jets. That's a story. I'm sorry you don't want to hear it. It hurts your feelings, apparently. But I'm the cancel culture one? What? Because I didn't play your deranged phone call last week? Every week, if I played the same woe is me voicemails every single week, it's boring. I try to play different things to get different perspectives on things. But if the same perspective is just negative, boring, the coach sucks, this sucks, that's not a show. That's not a show, Constantine. So I'll tell you what, you can listen or don't. If you don't want to hear about Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson, don't listen. That was 3 minutes of a 30-minute podcast. We talked about Aaron Rodgers' teammates that would be actually worthwhile to look at for a big chunk of it. We answered other voicemail questions. I try to change it up and try to do every single thing a little bit differently, but I am under no obligation to play a voicemail if I don't think it's worthwhile to play on the air. It has to be good. That's why I don't do the show live, because I don't know what people are going to say. And maybe I don't want to talk about that topic this week. Maybe I want to talk about something else. Start the Constantine Jets show. Or you could cry into a microphone for an hour every week and post that. Or call in, and if I play it, I play it. And if I don't take it personal. Cancel culture? Jeez, give me a break, man. A miserable existence. Caden is up next. He's calling from upstate New York.
My boy Matt O'Leary. What's up, Matt? This is Caden Smith from upstate New York. I just feel like bringing the energy today. Just feel good about being a Jets fan today. Sorry if you can't understand me. I'm just getting over a little bit of a cold, but we're thriving and we're doing great. And today I have for you a little bit of a Jets mock draft. I could have done a full mock off season, but I never bother with free agency because I feel like it's way harder to predict what's going to happen there.
That's
so
true.
I try to just basically fix the Jets with one singular draft, and I would say I think I did pretty damn well. So here's what we got then. So starting off with pick number 10, I don't know how realistic it would be that we actually trade down this far in the draft, but I accepted a trade offer from the Jaguars where we trade down 7 spots. We grab a second rounder, another third rounder, and we give up, I think, our first rounder or our fourth rounder and maybe like a later round pick. Don't remember the exact details of the trades, but something like that. So we get a second and another third in exchange for moving down 7 spots. So at that pick, we grab Talise Fuaga, whatever it is. But one of my favorite players in the draft, like became my draft crush. Just really high on him overall. I think he's just going to be a mauler at right tackle for us. Kind of just a safer pick overall. Really like Fuaga a lot. At pick number 48 in our second round pick acquired from the Jaguars, we go probably my favorite player in the entire draft overall, Troy Franklin. That might be biased because I'm a big Oregon fan, but Franklin's just so good. Like him and Garrett Wilson together would just be a lethal combination because Franklin can just take the top off the defense. Game-changing speed. He's a good route runner too, but like game-changing speed, like would just be a fantastic weapon for Aaron Rodgers. At 72, we're doubling up again on wide receivers, and we're going Roman Wilson, the wide receiver from Michigan. And this might be a bit redundant because of the fact that I think he's been being mocked to the Jets a lot lately because of the fact that he was on the Senior Bowl team. But just we're building a track team here in New York with great route runners that no one can really cover. At pick 79, the pick we got from the Jags, we get Christian Mahogany, offensive guard from Boston College.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of good things about him. Sounds like he could be a mid-round player. So hopefully someone we could develop into maybe a starter, or maybe he could even start right away. At pick 113, we grab Braden Fisk, defensive tackle from Florida State, another guy who was on the Senior Bowl. Don't know a whole lot about him, but we just need more D-tackle depth. At pick 169, I actually trade up because we get Trey Taylor, safety from Air Force. I think he was the Thorpe Award winner this year for Nation's Best DB, and I've heard a lot of good things about him. Good tackler, so we get him. And then with our Mr. Irrelevant pick, 256, we get our quarterback of the future when Aaron Rodgers retires, Tanner Mordecai, quarterback from Wisconsin. He will be our Brock Purdy. Let's go, Jets. This is...
Oh, he gets cut at the end. Just got it under the 3-minute mark, though. Okay. Wheeling and dealing in that one. Look, you don't have to sell me on Fuaga at all. I think that would be tremendous if you're able to move back and still get him. I talked about, yesterday on one of my videos where there was Trevor Sikkema of PFF, his mock draft, his most recent 2-round mock draft. He had the Jets trade back from 10 to 12. They pick up a second-round pick, and they're able to still get Fuaga, and then they take a wide receiver in the second round. Very interesting. I like that idea. Doubling up on receiver, I'm okay with if they're not able to find in free agency. Roman Wilson's a stud. I think he might end up going in the second round after how well he played at the Senior Bowl. It's kind of like, if you remember a couple years ago, Jermaine Johnson was looked at as a borderline first-round pick before the Senior Bowl, and then after the Senior Bowl was like, okay, this guy might end up going, top 10. Settles in around, 26? The Jets ended up getting him at, but still really a quality player. So I like your mindset on attacking key positions, offensive line and wide receiver. If that's what they're doubling it down on and taking picks in their first 3-4 rounds of the draft at those positions, I think that would be incredibly wise. Let's close out with this caller doesn't have a name. All right, let's play it.
Sorry, Matt. I'm calling back because I drank some water. My last call, I was hammered. So this is my trade. I want you to see what you think about it. So first of all, the Jets signed Bryce Huff. That's first thing. Then the Jets trade the 10th overall pick, Will McDonald, and either a third rounder or a fourth rounder, hopefully fourth rounder, to Arizona for the third overall pick and Arizona's second rounder, which is the 35th pick. So essentially, the Cardinals are moving down 7 spots. So last year, Will McDonald was pick 15, so they're moving from pick 35 to 15. I don't know value with shit, so I could be way off. But I feel like that's a doable trade. And their coach, Jonathan Gann, is a defensive guy. So maybe he likes Will McDonald. Yeah, let me know. I could be way off. But
it's
sorry about the last call.
you're good, man. See, that's entertaining phone call. I love it. It's very outside the box. They love Will McDonald. They really do. I don't see him being traded. I understand the logic that you went behind it. The difference between pick 4, which is 1,800 points, and pick 10, which is 1,300, is what, 500, which is pick 40. If you were to trade Will McDonald right now, is that what you're getting? I think you might have a hard time with that. I don't think the value is there. I don't think the other teams around the league would value Will McDonald that much because, yes, he was pick 15, which is worth 1050 on the point scale, but he didn't really play at all his first year. So I don't think he still has that same value. I don't think you would be able to get a second round pick or something close to that. I think you're better off keeping him and trying to develop him. That's where the most amount of value is for them. But I like the thought process. I really do. And I like doing this episode. Thank you, guys. Sorry for going off the rails a little bit there. Had to played it because I had to get some thoughts out. It's frustrating sometimes. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you're new, wherever you get the show, on YouTube in podcast form. I appreciate you. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for checking in. I'm Matt, and I'll catch you next time. Go Jets.